I want to talk now a bit more about the markets and the election. And for that, we are joined by Paul Schatz. He is the president at Heritage Capital. Paul, great to have you on the program. Before we get into the markets, and we're going to have you with us through the bell, I want to start with something that you put right at the top of your note to us, which certainly caught all of our attention, which is this idea of just a surprise, a vaccine type surprise, whatever kind of surprise we could have from the president, from the administration in the next 36 hours. I guess as you see that, I mean, what are you thinking here, and how do you kind of feel like investors and the general public is going to be taking, what's set to be a pretty eventful 48 hours here in the U.S.?
Good morning. It's always great to be with you guys. So over the last couple of months, both because I'm curious and interested, and as I look at client portfolios, I always try to think of outcomes that few are talking about. So one of them would be, Trump kept hinting at this October surprise. I'm not sure if he actually meant the Hunter Biden news, but if you think about it, if you just look at the polls, which we all know were very wrong in 2016, except for two polls, here clearly Biden's got an edge, and 60 million, maybe 70 million by now have already voted. What could throw up a lot of things into question? Well, certainly if there was some super positive news on a vaccine. I'm purely just speculating on maybe some off the beaten path outcomes, but would anyone be shocked if the administration came out and said, oh my gosh, we have the vaccine from insert corporate name here that'll be ready to go by Thanksgiving, by Christmas? So and I've got a couple more a little off the beaten path, maybe people would call outlandish scenarios, but that's my job, is to figure out and to think about all the possible outcomes that could impact the markets.
That one would certainly impact the markets. It's unclear whether it would impact the election, right? So I wonder, Paul, as we set up for tomorrow, I mean, we just heard from Mike Darda a few moments ago, and he said, no matter who wins, the bull market likely, is intact here. We're going to keep going up and the economy is going to be okay. Is that your view also, or do you think there's really divergent scenarios here?
Well, I've written for the last 2 weeks that whatever move we get into the election, I think the opposite happens after the election. So as we began to roll over in early October, I said this decline, my downside was Dow, roughly 26,000, upside is Dow, 30,000. I did some buying on Friday. I will do some buying likely today and tomorrow. I think the risk now is to the upside a lot. So the election there's no secret here. Every professional can hedge off their risk into the election, can play various outcomes. It's not like when cowards fly planes into buildings and catch the markets off guard. Every 4 years, people know the election's coming, and a professional can play for any outcome they want. So I don't think everyone knows the 6 potential outcomes, so there can't be any surprises. Yes, I think the bull market's intact. There's 3 things that kind of sort of bother me, but we've had 2 declines in September and October. We're not washed out, we're not oversold, but we certainly could and should rally coming out of the election.